Ladies and gentlemen, 1 mile west of Denver, under the clear azure skies and health-radiating sunshine of Colorado, facing a magnificent panorama of the Rocky Mountains, stands the Sanatorium of the Jewish Consumptives Relief Society, the largest Jewish institution in the world for the treatment of tuberculosis in all forms and stages of the disease. I invite you to visit with me this remarkable and unique city of hope, where the generosity of the Jews of the United States has created a haven of refuge and a temple of healing for the friendless and penniless, the helpless and hopeless victims of this dread disease, irrespective of class or creed. Before viewing the sanatorium as it is today, let us catch a glimpse of its humble beginning in 1904. The site of the sanatorium has been named Spivak, Colorado, in memory of that humanitarian, the late Dr. C.D. Spivak, one of the founders of the J.C.R.S., and for years the inspired and inspiring leader in saving lives wrecked and devastated by the White Plague. And now let us enter the sanatorium with this young girl, barely more than a child. What a tragedy to be thus stricken at the very threshold of life and hope, here where the handiwork of man and the blessings of nature have created an ideal environment for the treatment of tuberculosis. No efforts will be spared to win the battle against the disease and to restore her to health and happiness. Sympathetic hearts and gentle hands receive her into the sanatorium family to dispel the tears and heartache of being separated from her beloved ones at home. Not as a recipient of charity does she come, but to be cared for in the proverbial J.C.R.S. spirit of kindness and consideration. Soon she will meet the smiling and happy faces of those who have gone the same path before her on the road to recovery and become a full-fledged member of the Women's Division of our Health Academy. This is the Texas Pavilion for Women. In 1927, the long list of women applicants made it imperative to increase the capacity of the sanatorium. The benevolent people of Texas answered the need by the erection of this magnificent structure, which embodies the last architectural word in the housing of tuberculosis patients. It has a capacity of 107 beds. In this splendidly equipped hospital, our little friend will be nursed back to health and strength. A part of her treatment will consist of heliotherapy, sun treatment. On the spacious roof, the unsurpassed, pure, exhilarating mountain air and priceless, health-giving ultraviolet rays of Colorado sunshine will heal her diseased lung and bring back the glow of health to her pale cheeks. Facing the Texas Pavilion across a beautiful expanse of lawn and flowers, we see the Tower of Hope, the entrance to the main building equipped with every modern facility for the care and treatment of 204 male patients. The major portion of this imposing structure is to be credited to the New York Ladies Auxiliary, one of the staunchest pillars of the J.C.R.S. since its very inception. One of the wings was erected by the St. Louis Ladies Auxiliary, which has always rivaled in enthusiasm and activity its older sister organization. The New York Ladies Auxiliary has been the master builder of the sanatorium. In 1908, they erected their first pavilion. This was followed by a more pretentious building, which unfortunately was destroyed by fire, not only as builders, but also as generous contributors to the maintenance fund of the sanatorium. Has this group of women made the New York Auxiliary a magic and blessed name to thousands of our patients. This is the Lena Block Memorial Home for Nurses, dedicated to the memory of Lena Block, the founder of the New York Ladies Auxiliary, and its president for a quarter of a century. She worked incessantly for the upbuilding of the sanatorium, which she loved so well because of her unbounded sympathy for the sick and because the J.C.R.S. expressed her ideals of a great humanitarian mission. The J.C.R.S. has ever been a pioneer in all modern methods of the treatment of tuberculosis. On our journey through the medical department, we enter the I. Rudy Medical Building, and here find the staff of resident physicians and tuberculosis specialists discussing the medical problems of the patients and deciding upon the special treatments indicated in each case. The X-ray is an indispensable aid to the diagnosis and treatment of diseases of the chest. A new X-ray department installed in 1929 by the Atlantic City Ladies Auxiliary in memory of Dr. C.D. Spivak is the last word in equipment. The fluoroscope, the X-ray eye, gives an animated picture of what goes on inside. Look at the grin on this boy's face when he is told that his lungs are completely healed. When Mohammed cannot go to the mountain comes to Mohammed, a movable X-ray machine for those who are still confined to bed. Here we see the laboratories and the staff engaged in microbe hunting and other diagnostic examinations. The progress towards recovery is checked by various tests which indicate whether the patient is winning the battle with the destructive germ. What a happy day when the patient learns that his body no longer harbors the deadly tubercle bacillus. This little animal, the guinea pig, is an important aid to discover whether the sputum contains the disease germs. No birth control is practiced, and pigs is pigs. Testing the increased lung capacity that comes with healing of the disease, and how he can blow. No hot air about him. Operating rooms are not usually associated with a sanatorium. They are, however, of the utmost importance in the modern treatment of pulmonary tuberculosis. Besides rest, fresh air, and diet, certain cases require collapse of the diseased lung by surgical means. Pneumothorax, or collapse of the diseased lung by the injection of air into the chest, is the most widely used treatment for the disease. Another surgical method produces rest of the lung by the removal of a nerve which controls the movements of the diaphragm. In some cases, this can only be attained by removal of portions of the ribs. Thousands of patients are restored to complete health by these measures. Here we see the sun porches of the main building and the patients absorbing the curative rays. Heliotherapy, or sunlight treatment scientifically administered, raises resistance to the disease and hastens recovery. For some conditions, it is necessary to administer the sun rays in more precisely measured quantities by artificial ultraviolet rays. Tuberculosis of the throat is treated by reflecting the rays of the sun on the diseased area. The J.C.R.S. was the first sanatorium to establish a dental department. Healthy teeth and mouth hygiene are a vital line of defense against the disease. The welcome hour, dinner time, the main dining hall, and patients on their way eager to enjoy the famous cuisine of the J.C.R.S., the kitchen where are prepared all the dishes so dear to the Jewish appetite. The J.C.R.S. set the style in kosher institutions. Here we see the mashgiach, salting the meat and supervising the milshigs and the fleishigs. Never the twain shall meet. The sanatorium family hard at work, imbibing the appetizing calories. Seconds and even thirds are never barred. For those who are not as yet able to go to the main dining room, the kitchens in the hospital buildings prepare special diets to tempt the palates of shut-in patients. And weighing day tells the tale. These girls are not afraid to lose their girlish figures. Pure fresh milk and plenty of it is one of the most important components of the diet in tuberculosis. This sanitary dairy barn is one of the finest in this part of the country. Even a cow must be a contented cow in such a home. A herd of tuberculin-tested Holstein cows supplies all the milk and cream consumed by the patients. The milking is done by machinery, and the milk is bottled mechanically, so as to ensure perfect purity from producer to consumer. The dairy furnishes an abundant supply of rich cream for cereals and coffee, delicious butter, cream cheese for blintzes, and other delectable dishes. The boss of the herd and his heir, two pure-blooded bulls, both of whom were awarded prizes at the Colorado State Fair. Mazel tov, good to the last drop. No formula bottles for these babies. 100 acres of land are cultivated to supply the dairy herd with alfalfa and grain. Harvest time and stocking the larder for the winter. Mental diversion is an essential and extremely important part of the long and tedious treatment of tuberculosis. This beautiful library of 8,000 volumes and numerous magazines and newspapers in many languages helps to while away the time between rest hours. The education of the sanatorium family is not neglected. Classes in the 3 R's, stenography, typewriting, and bookkeeping, are held to fit the patients for the day when they will be ready to return to the outside world. Boys, how would you like to take a hand in this game and bid 4 hearts? A few of the convalescent girls enjoying a hand of bridge in the recreation room of the Texas Pavilion. Whoever would have thought that a game of dominoes could be so exciting, and even here the kibitzer plies his trade. Many artists give their talent freely for the entertainment of the patients. Here, however, is a performance by the patients and for the patients in the Marcus Lowe Memorial Hall of the Solarium. Here also are presented talkies several times a week. The bed patients are entertained in the buildings by a portable talking machine. Once a year, the patients are taken to the mountains for a picnic and are shown the wonders of Colorado scenery before they return to their homes. The bracing air creates a healthy appetite, and the chuck wagon is the central attraction of the outing. The religious life centers in this beautiful synagogue, the gift of the Solomon family. In the back is a Talmudic and biblical library. Kaddish, for departed friends of the J.C.R.S, is recited daily. The community of Spivak is provided with various facilities for the comfort and convenience of the patients. Here is the patient's cooperative store, which handles a great variety of merchandise from hairpins to radios. The profits are expended entirely for recreation, instruction, and above all for financial assistance to needy patients. The salesman, an ex-patient, visits the bed patients daily to drum up trade. And of course there is a fully equipped sanitary barbershop. The only thing missing is the bootblack. The United States Post Office, with all the facilities of a city post office and delivery service for bed patients, mailing a letter home telling of her progress to health. Uh-oh, no check? Well, better luck next time. The Max D. Neusteeder Industrial Habilitation Building, which houses the bookbinding and printing shop, named in memory of the late Max D. Neusteeder, a member of the board for 15 years and a loyal, devoted worker and friend of the J.C.R.S. An industry with a mission. Here, patients who have attained a sufficient degree of recovery are rehabilitated industrially and prepared for discharge by graduated work beginning with 2 and increased to 6 hours a day. The value of it lies in accustoming patients to sustained physical effort and in reawakening a desire for and a pleasure in work after a prolonged period of idleness. Patients are paid out of the profits of the industries and thereby earn expenses for personal necessities and a little surplus towards the time of discharge. The C.D. Spivak Administration Building, originally the first medical building, houses the offices of the Secretary and of the Social Service Director. These girls are busy sending out the Rosh Hashanah appeal. Good luck. The residence of the Superintendent and of the medical staff, erected by the St. Louis Ladies Auxiliary. The water tank, part of the artesian well, installed by the St. Louis Ladies Auxiliary at a time when a lack of sufficient and wholesome water threatened the very existence of the sanatorium. Personal hygiene is an important factor in the treatment of tuberculosis. The laundry provides the needs of the patients, free of charge. The tragedy of tuberculosis lies not only in the physical suffering it entails, but even more profoundly in the mental anguish of mothers and fathers separated from their children and each other, of children deprived of that happiness which is their birthright, of homes broken up by the illness of the breadwinner and the economic deprivations which ensue. In the 30 years of its existence, 7,000 patients have entered the gates of the Jewish Consumptives Relief Society. Thousands of these have been fully restored to health and are now leading happy, active, and useful lives. Families torn asunder have been reunited. Homes broken up have been restored. All this has been made possible by your generosity. Although great gains have been made in the eradication of the disease, the enemy has not as yet been laid low, and the ravages of the disease still continue. The mission of the J.C.R.S. is not completed. Great numbers of the afflicted are still knocking at our gates. These unfortunate sufferers still look to you to help them win their fight against the disease. Remember our motto: he who saves one life is considered as if he had preserved the whole world. Talmud.